Hi, Eastside family. Welcome to chapter 18 of John in the Discover Jesus Challenge. We are almost done with this book, and we are now getting into the very intense part of this gospel. So you've already gone through yesterday the beautiful prayer that Jesus prayed over his disciples. And now in the beginning of this chapter, we see that Jesus takes his disciples and they head to the garden where they have met before, and where Judas comes with the guards to arrest Jesus. So in this chapter, we see that Jesus is arrested, and it's kind of this time leading up to his crucifixion. And there's a lot of really interesting things that happen in this chapter. One thing that we all probably know about is that Peter, during this time, denies Jesus 3 times. People ask if he's a disciple of Jesus, and he says no. Another thing that's really interesting in this chapter that might help a little bit for you to understand as you're reading is there's a part here that talks about Annas and Caiaphas. So in verse 12 it says, "The band of soldiers and their captain and the officers of the Jews arrested Jesus and bound him. First they led him to Annas, for he was the father-in-law of Caiaphas, who was high priest that year. It was Caiaphas who had advised the Jews that it would be expedient that one man should die for the people." So Caiaphas is the high priest, and then Annas is his father-in-law, but also Annas was previously the high priest. And that's important as you're reading this, because later on it says the high priest questioned Jesus. But when it's talking about this, it's talking about Annas. And then later it says Annas sent him bound, verse 24, to Caiaphas, the high priest. So that's just to clarify a little bit for you. It can be confusing that there's 2 high priests. Well, Annas is the former high priest. Caiaphas is the current high priest. But they're both men of high stature in Jewish society. So something else that I really want to point out in this passage is actually Jesus and Pilate when they're talking. It's very, very interesting in this passage how Pilate questions Jesus and how Jesus responds to that. Pilate asks him if he is the king of the Jews. This is a title that has kind of slowly been given to Jesus throughout this book. There's been this question of, is he the king? And Jesus says, well, I'm not that kind of king. And through this conversation with Pilate, we see that Pilate realizes he's not a political insurrectionist. He's not coming to start a political revolution. And Pilate realizes that whatever he has done to upset the Jews, this is not something that is a danger or a threat to Rome. And since Pilate is representative of Rome, that's all he cares about. And so he knows that Jesus isn't going to do anything wrong, that he's not someone that he needs to punish. And by the end of this chapter, Pilate really is trying to lobby for Jesus to be freed. He even offers up someone else or offers up that they free him instead of someone else, and they choose Barabbas, this other guy, to be freed instead of Jesus. So all of that to say, there's a lot of things, as usual, going on in this chapter. But as we read this, I really hope that you can really look at, as things are moving really fast and Jesus is being arrested, notice Jesus's answers. Notice how Jesus responds to these situations. He says to Pilate, starting in verse 36, Pilate had asked him, what have you done to make everyone so mad at you? And Jesus answered in verse 36, "My kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom were of this world, my servants would have been fighting that I might not be delivered over to the Jews. But my kingdom is not from the world." Then Pilate said to him, "So you are a king?" Jesus answered, "You say that I am a king. For this purpose I was born, and for this purpose I have come into the world, to bear witness to the truth. Everyone who is of the truth listens to my voice." And Pilate said to him, "What is truth?" I love this passage. We see so much about the mindset of Pilate, his questions, and we can see that Jesus is trying to show him this isn't about politics. This isn't about Rome. This isn't about a kingdom that you would understand. This is about something bigger, something spiritual. This is about the truth. And Pilate's response is, "What is truth?" This is such an applicable passage. This conversation is so applicable when we want to look at our dealings with the world today. We live in a world that is asking that question: what is truth? Even more than that, in our society today, the question is there truth? Most of our culture in the Western world doesn't even believe in any kind of absolute truth. So as we're interacting with non-believers, as we're interacting with people who don't believe in Jesus or don't know what they believe, there's some really big questions there that they're asking. And it's something that I think we need to be aware of. I think it's something that we should have in the back of our mind, is that people are coming to the table with a lot of different beliefs. And a lot of times they don't even know what they believe. And there's a lot of Pilates in the world. There's a lot of people asking that question of what is truth. And the way that Jesus really deals with Pilate is he gives him the truth. He gives him the answer of who he is and what he's there to do. And Pilate has to make that decision of what he believes. And in the same way, we are really called to live out that truth. Just like Jesus, we are called to walk in and be that light to the world. Think all the way back to the beginning of John. That's what we're here for, to be a light in the darkness. And especially to be able to respond and be that answer to the question of what is truth, pointing back to Jesus. So I encourage you guys today, as you're reading this passage, we're getting into some heavy stuff, but it is still a really incredible opportunity for us to look at how can we apply this? What does this look like in my world today? So I hope you guys have a good day, and looking forward to tomorrow in chapter 19.